Let's talk about categories because they're the backbone of how information gets organized, filtered, and discovered across your user account platform. A well-designed set of categories and that structure makes life easier for both your members and your administrators. If your organization is not yet using individual user accounts, stay tuned because this will help you organize items you may wish to manage in the platform and push to your dashboards. Categories apply across news and announcements, events, Platform Connect, and the document library. When a member logs into their account, they can filter your content by category to quickly find exactly what they're looking for, whether that's training materials, policy updates, HR resources, or station unit specific information. Be sure to really think through how you want to organize and categorize your content. Now, to work with your categories, we need to go to the admin panel on the far left-hand margin. And once you open the admin panel, the first item should be categories. If you click on that, you will get to a screen that looks something like this. Enter a category name in the box where it says, write the title here. Under title, make it something clear and intuitive like training, operations, HR and admin. In the next box down, select content type is a drop down. That's where you're going to choose what area of the platform you want that category to apply to. You can also choose the color that you want to use related to that category. Now, when you select the color from the color palette you see over here on the left-hand side, where you're going to see that change and where you're going to see that show up is on the larger list under all your categories that will be on the larger part of your screen as you build out your categories list. Where you're going to see this show up in the operational sense on the platform is when you go to places like news and announcements. So this is a screenshot of what news and announcements might look like for you. And you can see that these colored category panels are showing up on each of these items. So note that some of these can have a relationship to more than one category. Again, the categories is used by your people to sort through information to find it more quickly. So they might look for it under department news, but they also might look at it under personnel news. So think about how you apply those, but I want to show you here what that might look in a practical sense on the platform. In order to modify a category that you have already created, you simply come over to the far right-hand side, and you can see over here where there's a little pencil icon on the far right-hand side next to that category. All you do is click on that little pencil icon. It'll pop that open in a pop-up window. You can come in here and you can make all the changes you want. You can modify the name. You might want to fix a spelling error or something like that. Or you might want to select or deselect one of those other categories related to this category, or the content type related to the category. So again, this is where you can add or remove one of those other content types. And then come down here, you can change the color if you want to while you're in here. Then you just come down and click that save button, and it'll save your changes. Now, if you ever want to remove a category, you can actually delete them as well. Again, come over here to the action items. You're going to click on that trash can icon, and it's going to question you. It's going to make sure that you want to delete that. If you want to delete it, hit continue. If not, hit cancel, and it will stop the process. Now, before deleting a category, consider whether it's currently assigned to any content. When a category is deleted, the content associated with it is not deleted. It just loses that category tag. In most cases, renaming is preferable to deleting, especially if the category is widely used by your personnel. So you preserve the association without losing any history by just renaming. Or if you delete, again, you're not going to lose any content. You're just going to lose the tag. And here's some best practices to keep in mind as you think about building out your categories list. Number one is keep categories high level and meaningful. Avoid overly specific labels that only apply to a single item. Aim for labels that any member of your organization would immediately understand upon seeing it. Limit the total of number of categories. Too many create a lot of confusion and add to the complexity of searching for those items you want in the platform. Aim for 8 to 15 core categories per content type, enough to be useful without becoming overwhelming. Another one is to use consistent naming across the content types. Those standard naming conventions really help. So if you have training category for announcements, use training for events as well as the documents. Consistency makes the platform easier to navigate for you and everybody else in your organization. Avoid duplicates and near duplicates. For example, don't have training and training info as categories. Pick one label and standardize upon that. So training, under training, would have training info. It would have training schedule. It would have training compliance. Anything related to training would fall under training. So again, keep it high level and well organized. Review your category list periodically. A couple of times a year is a good cadence. Retire outdated categories by renaming or merging them with other rather than deleting. And add new ones only when there's a genuine need for that. And another one is, especially if you're in a larger organization where there are multiple people managing your content and are in the system as admin users, communicate internal guidelines to anyone on your team who creates content. Simple rules like all policy-related items use the policies and SOPs category go a long way to keeping everything consistent and not having people adding confusion or duplicity to that categories list. And that is how you create, maintain, and run your categories list.